We opened an antique store, but it had to be family friendly, where we could work and still have fun. Sometimes you have to climb a mountain or open some new doors to find the treasures inside. This is our life, this is our adventure, this is Curiosity Inc.
So it's first thing in the morning. It's freezing cold outside. It's still about minus 30 degrees, but I'm not gonna let that stop me from going out on a couple picks today. So I've got two places to go. First one, the guy says he's got a bunch of old movie posters. The second one is a house full of antiques. So sounds kind of interesting. So I'm gonna get in the car and go see what I can find.
And the one thing I really love about my job is that I just never know what I'm going to find in a day. Following a lead like this could take me anywhere. So I'm headed out to another small town just outside of where I live in the city of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and we're going to see what I can find. This fellow says he's got some vintage movie posters and collectibles, so I'm going to have a chance to dig through his basement and pull out some stuff that I think is just a little bit more special. And after digging around a bit, I can see there's some really unique items. He was big into the slot car scene back in the 60s, and there's some really cool stuff. So I'm going to see if I can find a few things and bring them home.
So stop number one complete. And I managed to pick up a few cool things, so let me show you what I got. I ended up getting a few vintage movie posters. One was an original edition of The Fly. That's a pretty cool piece with Vincent Price. That's the early The Fly, early horror movie. Here we've got classic Back to the Future, original poster. And it's autographed by Michael J. Fox, and it says heavy, because he says heavy a lot in the movie. So I guess he got him to autograph that to him. And the last one is an early Jack Nicholson movie called The Wild Ride. So race cars and hot rods, just a really cool graphic. So three really neat posters. Now let's have a look inside the box and see what's in there. Now this gentleman was into slot car racing for quite some time, so I got quite a few neat things. This is actually a racing trophy you can see from the 1960s, and this was for slot car racing. So it's a silver cup that I guess would have been the first prize if you won at the slot car racing championship. Pretty neat piece, and lots of really great early boxed race car sets and accessories. So there's a complete Revel set that he never built but still has the car, the chassis, and the engine. One of the rare pieces I ended up getting was probably this guy right here. This is actually a pretty rare gift set from the 1960s, which includes two 124 scale slot cars by Cox. Both are Ferraris, have interchangeable bodies and chassis. Just a really neat piece and not something you see every day. If you're a race car fan or a slot car fan or a Ferrari fan, this is a really neat collectible to pick up. I'm gonna unpack this box to show you guys what else was in here. So lots of neat stuff. Let's get it unpacked and on the tube. So here's what I got from this morning's pick. Went through the guy's house and went through the collection. I got a bunch of these vintage little Matchbox toys. If you're in the United States, you probably didn't really see these too often. We got them here in Canada, I think Australia, New Zealand, basically anywhere British saw these. I don't know how popular they were down in the States, but I think they're cool. And I even found a miniature version of my old ambulance that I had, if you remember that. I had the old ambulance that I went and picked up. Unfortunately, it was really rusty, and I did sell that car. But there's a little miniature version. And look, it doesn't need any body work at all. It's in great shape. Nice vintage slot car of a Bentley. Some other new old stock slot cars from the 60s. Some vintage 24 scale model kits. Tin toys. Motorcycles. This is another slot car here that has kind of a hot rod body. Some vintage hockey cards going back to the 1960s and 70s, so lots of stuff in here. And some early stars as well, so neat stuff. And also ended up getting a whole bunch of Beatles cards in a book as well from the 60s, so lots of Beatles fans out there, so that's kind of a neat thing too. But far and above, my favorite thing that I found this morning were the vintage slot car sets from the 1960s. These old Ferrari kits are really cool. The graphics on the boxes are fantastic. And whether you collect slot cars or you're just, into graphics, what a fantastic thing to have. So I've got to get going though and hit the road again because I've got another pick right now that I have to go on. We're gonna go dig through a house and see what we can find. Okay, so it's been a long night of picking. I ended up going to the lady's house with the antiques. It was mostly vintage clothing, which I don't know a whole lot about. We do get the occasional thing in, like vintage gasoline branded jackets, like service jackets and things like that. This was ladies' clothing. I'm going to do a little bit more research before I bring that stuff in, but it might turn into a good relationship down the road. So oddly enough, when I went to the house, one of the neighbors there had all kinds of cool porcelain signs on their garage and old cars, so I'm gonna go check that out tomorrow and see if there's anything neat there. But thanks so much for tuning in and watching these adventures. Don't forget to subscribe. This is just a little one. Sometimes there's bigger adventures too, but yeah, just keeping you guys updated on what sorts of things are going on around the shop. So always good to see you guys, and take care, and we'll talk to you all soon. Bye for now.